This prelude in D sharp minor from the second book has always been a bit of an embarrassment for pianists. Mostly because of a question again of speed. Because any pianist looking at the text, and I was no exception, would launch into his first sight reading doing something like, because that's what we believe, we are trained to believe Bach is about. The problem we have is that most of the time when we have this approach in a piece, for example, C minor of the same book, if that is your take on it, well, so be it, you will play it to the end. With this one, you run into a massive problem because impossible. So that made quite a few pianists scratch their head and wonder what's going on with the music. Most of the time, the answer would be to play it exactly as fast as it allows you to play still the demi-semiquaver, which are the source of the problem, with any degree of comprehension, while still keeping something of that sort of mood. The most interesting case is the pianist Samuel Feinberg, who was the first Russian to record this cycle at a time where there was no musicology about what to do with Bach. And he did indeed launch himself in. So when I heard him, I thought, my God, what is he going to do? Because he's launching in something which is probably, well, pianistically, actually impossible. So I was waiting eagerly to see what would happen. And what happened is so astonishing that I will show you what he does. And I'll also put a link in the description. But so here. So he pulls back hugely, and then you. So he plays about, rather than accepting that his idea about the speed of the piece is most likely to be wrong, he just pulls the speeds and the tempo in an incredible way to accommodate the various bits. It's done with such flair and that, I mean, in that level, it's a kind of genius, really, to be able to pull that off convincingly. Nonetheless, the real answer is evidently somewhere else. And once again, this is one of the very strong cases where the prelude tells you you have to rethink your speeds about Bach. And indeed, when I played it first, I was a bit embarrassed because I played it slowly, but I just didn't know what to do with it. I hadn't inhabited that speed at all. I talk about this in the D minor, and this is even more true here. You've got to make this kind of speed yours, because it's not just a change in the sort of the tempo, it's a change in your perception of the music. And it's only when you have assimilated in this in depth that you can render it convincingly. I tend to imagine the sound of the oboe on the upper register, and for me it helps a lot. And of course, when you have this speed, no problem. music goes completely naturally from the demi-quavers to the demi-semi-quavers. So when I play like this, I feel, well, okay, that must be about right, and I feel comfortable. But it is an interesting case in point. It should be compulsory learning, because it's really the one that makes you adjust your thought and force you to move out of your preconception. Unfortunately, it's almost never taught and never played. The fugue, for me, remains a bit of an enigma. It is thought to be one of the most special of Book 2. And although I know that it is so, I can't quite feel that way when I'm playing. I can see all its beauties. I can see how incredibly sophisticated it is and complex. So far, I am not moved with it as much as I am with some others which are much less learned. I'll play you the subject. So it has something in common, if you want, with the F sharp minor of the first book, in that it goes by stages, up and up. And then it comes back to its initial point. So the construction is very similar. I don't want to undersell it, because although I haven't quite seen the light with that fugue, it obviously has a number of incredibly beautiful things in it, and I can only show you a few of those, but I mean, in the right... The harmonic language is about as advanced as Bach ever will be. So I don't know exactly what it is, which means that when I play that fugue, I'm not utterly taken by it. And I suspect it's just a question of time. And one thing I want to show you before we leave. He does something that I think does not happen in any of other fugues from the Well Tempered. He has the subject of the fugue on the upper register, and at the same time on the middle lower register, he has also the subject of the fugue, but in mirror. So it runs... which is quite ugly when you do it like this, but if you put everything around it, it's quite incredible. So yes, that's another, and there are a few pieces in that set that I am well aware are still works in progress. And of course the whole Well Tempered is work in progress, and when I haven't touched it for 6 months and then I play it, then I realize that I'm doing it differently, and then it's a nightmare because I've got to change everything. But sometimes I feel comfortable in my interpretation. And here I don't feel I have quite reached that stage yet.